Okay, so you've been really digging deep into Afghanistan, huh?
I have, yeah. It's been,
What have you found so far?
well, one thing that really struck me is the history.
Oh, yeah.
It goes back thousands of years. I mean, we're talking ancient empires like Persia, Alexander the Great, even the Silk Road,
Wow, so like way, way back.
way back. And it's incredible how much of that past still influences Afghanistan today.
I can
You
imagine.
see it in the culture, the people, even the way the country fits into the world today is really fascinating.
So it's not just like some far-off ancient history, it's still relevant.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's amazing. And you've also been looking at more recent history, right? And it's been pretty eventful, to say the least.
Oh, yeah. The last century has been a roller coaster for Afghanistan. I mean, you have the British granting independence in 1919, then the Soviet War in the 1980s, the rise of the Taliban, their fall, and then their return to power in 2021 after the U.S. withdrew. It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. And obviously the U.S. involvement and withdrawal is something a lot of people are still thinking about.
Yeah. For sure, it's a pivotal moment in Afghanistan's history, and it's going to have long-lasting effects.
No doubt. Okay,
Right.
so we've got this incredibly long and complex history. And then on top of that, you've got the geography of Afghanistan, which is pretty unique too, right?
Definitely.
Landlocked, surrounded by all these major players.
Yeah, you've got Pakistan, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and China all bordering Afghanistan.
That's a lot of neighbors.
It is, and it creates this constant tension between outside pressures and Afghanistan's desire to forge its own path.
Makes sense. I mean, historically, it's always been at this crossroads, right?
Exactly, a crossroads of cultures, empires, trade routes, but also a place that has fiercely resisted being controlled by outsiders.
It's that graveyard of empires thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
It
exactly.
makes you wonder, why has Afghanistan been so difficult for powerful empires to conquer and control throughout history?
Well, I think there are a few key reasons, and we see them over and over again throughout history.
What are some of the big ones?
Well, first, there's the geography itself. I mean, Afghanistan is incredibly rugged mountains, deserts, harsh climates. It's just not an easy place to conquer or even to move around in.
Yeah, you can't just roll in with tanks and expect to take over.
Exactly. And then you have the ethnic and tribal diversity of the population. I mean, there are so many different groups in Afghanistan, each with their own traditions, loyalties, and power structures. It makes it really hard to unite the country under any one leader or ideology.
Right, so even if you could overcome the geography, you've still got all this internal division to deal with.
Right. And on top of that, you have this deeply ingrained cultural resistance to outside control. Afghans have a long and proud history of fighting for their independence, and they've shown time and time again that they're willing to defend their way of life no matter the odds.
And that makes me think about Afghanistan today and its future. I mean, given its history, its people, and all the challenges we've been talking about, what do you think this legacy of being a graveyard of empires means for the country going forward?
It's a tough question, but I think one thing it tells us is that there are no easy solutions for Afghanistan, no quick fixes imposed from the outside. Any lasting solution has to come from within, from the Afghan people themselves.
Makes sense. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the economy, because there are some interesting contradictions there too.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, on the one hand, Afghanistan has this amazing agricultural potential, right?
Absolutely. You've read about the fertile valleys, the abundance of fruits and nuts, the tradition of wheat farming.
Yeah, I mean, it could be this breadbasket for the region, right?
It could be, but then on the other hand, you have the decades of war and conflict that have devastated the country and really held back its development.
Exactly. And then there's the whole opium trade issue,
Oh.
which is a huge factor in the Afghan economy.
It is. Afghanistan is the world's largest producer of opium, and that has a massive impact both inside the country and globally.
Yeah, it's like this double-edged sword. On the one hand, it provides livelihoods for a lot of people, but it also fuels corruption, instability, and the global drug problem.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle that's been really hard to break.
But there's also this other side to the economy, right? This incredible mineral wealth.
Right. Afghanistan is sitting on a treasure trove of minerals, things like lithium, copper, rare earth metals. These are materials that are essential for all the technology we use today, and they could potentially transform Afghanistan's economy.
I mean, that sounds like a huge opportunity.
It is, but there's a catch.
What's that?
Well, extracting and developing these resources requires a lot of things, investment, infrastructure stability, and those are all in short supply in Afghanistan right now.
So it's like this frustrating situation where the resources that could help rebuild the country are stuck. because of the very problems they could potentially solve.
It's a dilemma that a lot of resource-rich countries face, especially those that have been through prolonged conflict.
Okay, so speaking of things that are kind of hard to wrap your head around,
Yeah.
let's talk about Kandahar Airfield for a minute, because in your notes you mentioned that this single runway airport was one of the busiest in the world during the U.S. presence in Afghanistan.
Yeah. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
So how did that happen? Why was this one little airport so important?
Well, you have to remember the scale of the U.S. operation in Afghanistan. Tens of thousands of troops, tons of equipment, constant supplies moving in and out, and operations happening all over the country.
Hey.
And Kandahar Airfield became the logistical hub for all of it, the central point where everything flowed through.
Wow, so it was like the lifeline for the entire operation.
It was, and it just shows you the sheer logistical complexity of a military operation on that scale.
Makes you appreciate the people who had to manage all that.
Absolutely. It was a massive undertaking.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Afghanistan's history, its geography, its people, its economy, its challenges, its opportunities. It's a lot to take in.
It is. Afghanistan is an incredibly complex and fascinating place.
And its future is still very much unwritten.
Yeah, I think the only thing we can say for sure is that it's going to be a long and difficult road ahead.
But hopefully a road that leads to a better future for the Afghan people.
I hope so too.
So for all of you listening out there, I want you to think about everything we've discussed today and ask yourselves, what do you think the future holds for Afghanistan? For its people? For its resources? What will it take for this country to break free from the cycles of the past and create a new path forward? It's a question worth pondering, and I encourage you to continue exploring this incredible country and its story.
It's a story that's still being written.
And we'll be here to keep following it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Afghanistan.
Until next time.
Take care.
You too.